Hello everybody, this is Seth from Gimped Hero Games, coming at you again with another update of progress. So as you can see, I am here. This last couple weeks has been focused, first of all, on finalizing the rivers and everything, and never mind the effects. They still need a lot of work, but you can see that the river spawns across the entire length of this thing. There's no gaps, there's no any of that, and it actually digs channels all the way through. I still have some spillage and some kind of puddles and everything, and still getting some crazy river results and stuff, but for a prototype, this is fine. I'm also suffering from a little bit of a cold right now. I don't want to say suffering, but it hasn't been the best, so apologies for the sniffles and maybe coughs. Looking here, you can see that it is finally working, at least good enough for me to be able to continue on. I still have some weird results, but for a prototype, this is something that I can work with at least. So I also just quickly did a really rough material. I was trying to test with the getting it to actually flow in the direction that you see, and that's where I'm getting this weird streaking because it's not following the actual flow of the spline. So that's something that I'll figure out later, but it's not important right now. Other than that, I've started working on the actual cave system. So here we go. Woohoo! So underneath, you can see that I'm pretty much generating just a bunch of like purlin noise and then carving chambers out of it. That in itself is actually not that difficult. It turned out a lot better than I thought it would. And, you know, looking at the... it's a little difficult to see, but looking at, you know, from the character's perspective, it actually kind of reads like a cave. So this is also good enough, at least for now, for testing and everything, and prototyping, but so far so good. The next major thing that I'm working on that I'm almost finished with is actually tying this into the surface. So you can kind of see here, and it's not without its bugs, like this issue right here. Sometimes this is kind of a strange corner because it's like the corner section of two different spherical chambers, so it's not connecting to the floor. So if the player drops down here, they won't be able to get back up because there isn't really like a jump section or a jump skill or ability. So, but you can see that the cave kind of slopes well enough for the player to be able to traverse it, going up and down. They won't be sliding down the terrain or anything. The next thing I'm trying to do is actually tie in with the surface. So you can see here it just kind of ends in like this cylinder. That looks funny. Just kind of ends in this cylinder like shape, and what it's going to do is kind of punch a hole through the terrain, and I'm going to cut a hole in the actual surface and then tie them all together. And I'm doing it through several different points. Right now I think I'm doing 3, but I'll end up doing more, 3 entrances into the caves. So this one kind of pops up here, and you can see if we follow it all the way through, this is where it kind of comes out at. So somewhere right around here is where it's actually aiming. The way I set this up is I first of all built the cave system, so that way I had a place to start. I got the cave system all at the same level, so it looks like, you know, there's no like random chambers high and low and everything. The next thing I did was searched both the caves and then also the surface area for connection points. So I am searching for a bunch of different candidates, like this is a candidate, maybe over here, and so on. It'll find criteria based on, you know, the cave itself. Is this a good point to actually open up a hole and everything? And it doesn't always work, as you can see by that one that I showed you guys before. But I'm searching there, and then I'm also searching the surface based on criteria of, does it have a cliff face? Can you actually go into it? Like, oh, look, what do you know? This is the third entrance. So does it have a cliff face? is it a good place? Is there ground for the player to actually traverse and reach the entrance? So once it finds all of those candidates, it'll pair up those candidates between the surface and the cave system, along with some backups, because sometimes you start carving channels and then you'll hit a riverbed or something like that. So as it's carving these channels up, if it runs into an untraversable object like a wet piece of a wet chunk like these are kind of marked as, then it'll say, oh, I can't go that way, so it'll fall back to one of its alternates. Otherwise, that's pretty much how this works. I'm pretty happy with how it's looking so far. Whether or not I spend time actually applying a material to it and then adding some surface detail in the caves, I don't know. So I've already spent a month longer on World Generation than I was planning, so I also have huge holes in this thing that I've got to go through and patch, but I think I'm gonna not worry about that, for a little bit too. Otherwise, I gotta try to wrap this up once I get these holes punched in the terrain, and I can actually get the cave to to link up with the surface world, and the player can actually traverse with it. Then I will be moving on to populating with rocks, trees, all other kinds of stuff like that, just to kind of populate out the world. And then that's pretty much going to be it. I got to move on to other things because this is turning into a gigantic prototype. But it's awesome because all of these systems are very important. Everything that happens in the world is going to be happening in this terrain, so it's very important that I get the major pieces of it right. So anyway, that's how we're doing. Hope you guys have yourselves a wonderful day. Thank you very much for taking a look, and yes, I will talk to you guys next week.